If you plan on playing a tournament in 2021, you're going to want to listen to this because it could happen to you.
Attention players. Would Tony Roy please report back to court 14? Your match is being restarted. Thank you.
Stay tuned. Don, let's hit just a couple. What do you think are the most, from a player's perspective, right? From the player's perspective, what are the most significant changes that are going to have impact on our tournament players who are listening in tonight?
Okay, I'm going to go through these pretty quick. I had a list of 16 of the top 10. So we've touched on many. I'm just going to go through real quick. Now, when there's an end change at 6, that's considered a timeout. So you can coach now during the end change. It's a normal timeout. There's that one. The Pro Players Committee came up with, along with, there's now going to be a game forfeit. Okay, let's talk about technicals for a second. Right now, the phrase is 3 strikes and you're out, right? Next year, it's going to be 3 strikes, meaning 3 technicals. It's going to be a game forfeit, and then 4 strikes would be a match forfeit. So it's more of a progressive penalty for technicals now, which I think is good. There's also, the tournament directors can also do an ejection and an expel. Like you can be expelled from the venue and not even, you've got to get out off the site. So there's more levels of penalty for that. A tech foul, let's talk about that. Technical fouls now, instead of a point to the opponent, it is a point deduct from the team that committed the foul. Here's why that changed. This again was from the Pro Player Committee. They said, you know what, we really don't want a technical foul to end a match, you know. Well, it still can in a very, very rare scenario. Let's say the serving team is serving at 11-10 and the receiving team commits a tech foul. They got a point deduct. Now it's 11-9. The match is over. So it still can cause the match to end, or the game to end, sorry. But it's a very rare scenario that could happen. So now a tech foul is a point deduct unless you have 0, because I don't want to be calling the score 5, -1, 2, okay? So now if you have 0, it is still a point for the other team. But technical fouls are a point deduct, not a point for the other team. There's a verbal warning now for profanity. You know, every ref's level of threshold for profanity is different, and that can be very hard on players when they were in a previous match with a ref and they let a lot of profanity go on, and now the next ref is very sensitive to it. So now the ref is allowed to give a verbal warning issued to everyone that basically says, folks, my threshold of profanity is about to be reached, so watch it. Now, so a verbal warning is allowed now. That doesn't mean that you have to give the verbal before you give the technical warning. Somebody could say MF real loud, and you could do an automatic technical warning or even maybe even a technical foul, depending on how bad they said it. But the verbal warning is new, and it's just for profanity. You can take timeouts in between games, but you don't have to be on the court to, right now you have to be on the court to say timeout. In between games, you can say, hey, ref, I want to take one or both of my timeouts because I got to go to the restroom. So you can say that. You don't have to be on the court. The ref will do the 2-minute switch, and if it runs into a timeout, you'll deduct a timeout. You'll tell the opponents. If it runs into the second timeout, then you take their second timeout. Tell the opponents. After that second timeout runs out, though, if you're not back, you say game 2, time in, we're playing ball. You may have a team serving or receiving to an empty court. So there's that. But at least you don't have to be on the court physically to call a timeout. Okay. Players, you know that you can overrule a line call to your own disadvantage. Let's say line judge calls it out. You saw it as in. You can overrule that line judge to your disadvantage. That's a new rule this year. I love it. I think it's the height of the sportsmanship. We've added that. Now, that even includes you can overturn the referee. I like it. I love it because refs are not gods and we still make mistakes, okay? So let's say ball goes, they call it out. The other team appeals to me. I say, oh, I clearly saw that ball in. The other team can still say, ref, I saw that ball sorry, let's see. They call it out. The other team appeals. I say, I saw it in. But then the team that appeals, one player says, no, I clearly saw that ball out. They can overrule the ref if it's to their disadvantage. And so many refs got upset at this. I'm not going to get on the soapbox, but it's not saying that the ref was wrong. It's just saying if you want to overrule to your disadvantage, knock yourself out. So, yes, you can overrule a ref if it's to your disadvantage now. Let's see, a couple more. Okay, this could come into play. I never want to know as a ref that I did something, I made an error that ended a match. Okay, let's say it's match point. It's the wrong server. I don't catch it. The server wins, point game match. Okay, they won that match because I didn't do my job. I didn't catch the server error. Okay, now I won't waste time with going through the whole debate process. Now, up until the time that score sheet is turned in to the operations desk, if you somehow discover that you clearly made a mistake, let's say the player was videotaping the match, okay, and you clearly saw, oh, crap, I screwed up. Up until the time you turn in the score sheet, you can call those players back to the court and redo that properly, because the game should not end, even though we're human and we make mistakes, it should not end on a ref error, and I'm glad they've given us time to correct that.
Don, can I ask you about that one? Because that one blew my mind. My mind, I read that rule change, and my brain like exploded into a million pieces. Because I'm just like, I mean, Jill and I played, I don't even know, like 40-something tournaments, right? I would lose my mind if we are done with the match. We've signed the scorecard, because remember, we both signed the darn scorecard, right? And just like in golf, CJ. So we signed the little thing, right? And we're done. And I'm off doing, taking my shoes off and whatever. And all of a sudden the ref comes to me and says, you know what? They say that Joe was serving. And I'm like, no, I was serving. And now we're getting into this fight like 5 minutes after the match. I lost my mind when I read that rule, Don, I gotta be honest with you. And if you tell me I got to go back on the court and play again, I mean, I'm going to be like, really? And then even the video thing, because is there video replay now? I'm like, no, man. I'm like, match is over. I'm like, sorry, there's a mistake. There's a mistake. But that blew my mind. I got to tell you, that's my view on it. So
I would say two answers to that. The overriding goal was to get the call right. That was the overriding goal. I know me personally as a ref, I would lose sleep at night knowing that I messed up and cost somebody the match. So they did. And as far as debate, if I wasn't sure, if I said, well, wait, I'd almost have to see a video. I'd have to see a video.
But doesn't that bring a video replay then? Now you're like, then it's like, I don't like to call, hey, wait, my mom was videoing, Don, let me show you the out ball. If you want to get, it just kind of slippery slope. And I'm just like, no, man, the game's over.
Yeah, that was all debated. Judgment calls, things like that.
Don't be doing it to me, Don, because I will lose my SHIT. And I'm like, what is going on? Are you crazy? I'm like, no way.
I would say, Tony, do you want to win the game that way on my error?
No, I wanted the game. No, because obviously there's a conversation about it. You know what I mean? I'm not agreeing. Yeah. I'm saying, no, that's not what happened. But anyway, and the other one, explain this to me, Don, so I understand it. So, and I understand the whole thing that you're saying about like it's a dead ball thing. But if I'm correct, back in when I used to play, like if you served before the score was called, it's a fault, right? But now what I'm understanding is I can go back there, like no score's been called. I just serve and it's like, hey, don't do that anymore. Okay, whatever. But there's no problem with that, right?
And let's be specific about that. When a ref calls time, let's say time, let's say a serving team switches courts, right? We got to give the receiving team time to readjust. Mm-hmm. The ball's dead. I mean, we're in a dead ball play. Why did the one rule that says if the server happens to serve while we're switching places, you call a fault on them? Why did that one have its own special clause to call a fault? It was the outlier. So they made it consistent. No faults can happen other than NVZ, right? No faults can happen or be called when we're in a dead ball. So in this situation, let's say they switch service courts. I say, time. I'm going to give the receiving team time to readjust, and I'll recall the score. If the server happens to serve the ball, I say, hang on, give the ball back. I'll recall the score. It's not a fault.
My suggestion to you, and this is, again, having played a lot of tournaments, not all players are going to do this, but I've played with a fair share of players that are they're going to mess with that rule, and they're going to mess with the other three that have to do with like the calls that I can make before the serve is hit, right? Because it used to be like, I know you're absolutely right. From referees, it's kind of a nightmare. You have to like, when is this and when is that? But the fact that like right before the server hits the ball, I can say timeout. I can say check the ball for cracks. Or I can say, I didn't like the last call, right? So the server's back there, they drop the ball or whatever they're doing, and they get ready to hit it. And I'm like, ref, check the ball. I mean, and there's no like, there's no limit on how many I can do that. I mean, there's like a weird, like, well, I know there's like a weird, like if I appeal too much or something, but yeah, I mean, I'm telling you, I can name players that are going to just like go nuts with that stuff, and they're just going to keep hitting it. But anyway, so
that's a good point. And if they do, the ref can give them a technical warning for unsportsmanlike conduct. If I sense that a person's constantly doing that, and I think, okay, you're just trying to frustrate the server now, I can call a technical warning for unsportsmanlike conduct.
All right. So, I hope you're my ref. As long as you don't call the match, maybe go back to play after the match is over.
We'll say over the PA, Tony, please come back to the court. You really don't want to win that way, do you?
I'm leaving. So.
Oh, he's going to guilt you into that. You know that.
I do hear that.
Okay, so let's go back. Let's talk just a little bit about the timeouts, right? So you can call timeouts before the service hit, but not the service motion. That's a change, right?
Service motion has nothing to do with anything next year.
Okay.
So yes, you can call timeout. They moved everything to the serve of the ball. You can say the "t" of timeout. If I, as a ref, hear the "t" of timeout before I hear the pop of the ball, they've called a timeout. Yep.
Yes, all those other rules, CJ, before the service motion starts or before the score is called, all that's gone.
Yeah,
it's basically
right.
that pop. Yeah. So, yeah, we'll see how it goes. Cool. I mean, I'm curious to see how it plays out. So
cool.
Can I answer this one about the 3 strikes?
Yeah.
Okay, so. It was a quick, easy way to remember this year.
Wait. Before you answer it,
okay.
You have to say what is the question you are answering, because you see the question, but not everybody else does.
Good. Oh, thank you. That's why you're the pro right there. So you think I would know that, though. Dale says, please explain the 3-strike situation again. Okay, great question. If you basically think of technicals and technical fouls and warnings as strikes, like in baseball, okay? A technical warning is a strike, all right? A technical foul, right, a full-blown technical foul is, in essence, 2 strikes. So let's say you had a technical foul, a technical warning for profanity, and then you got a technical foul for throwing the paddle. Well, that's 1 strike, and then plus 2 strikes for the tech foul. That's 3 strikes. The match was forfeited, okay? So the easy way to remember that was 3 strikes and you're out. Okay. Now this year it's 3 strikes and the game is over. And then if you happen to commit another strike, 4 strikes during the match is over. So it's 3 strikes, the game is over. 4 strikes, the match is over. And the strike is a individual technical, although a technical foul counts as 2 strikes.